So that was good. I liked hearing Lou. That was pretty awesome. Did you guys enjoy that? Yeah. Good. Yeah. Now, there's a lot to be said about the benefits of working out. I always try to encourage it because it's if you don't take time out for it now, you will take time out for it later. And yeah, when he was talking about, I told him about when I was a drug addict, when I was 18 years old. Those of you that don't know, I used to weigh 105 pounds at my worst state from freebasing coke for 3 months straight. And between the ages of 16 to 18 years old, I think I took every drug on the planet. I never shot heroin, but I snorted heroin, and I was, it's kind of a weird high. But it's drugs and addiction, and it was what I didn't know, which I've learned as I become an adult, is all the self-destructive behaviors were literally just coping mechanisms because I didn't know how to, I not only didn't know how to deal with life, I was just incredibly not happy in my own skin, and so that's a whole nother issue. But I know a lot of people in rooms are going through incredible amounts of adversity, and you want to accomplish the things that you hear successful people or whatever you perceive successful people to be talking about, and there's things that are prohibiting you from doing that are just mental crisis. It could be mental illness, it could be trauma. There's a lot of things, and so but pursue help, and you're going to hear later in a little bit from Ned Hollowell.
This is an action-packed 2 hours right now.
Yeah. You're going to hear some. You're going to hear some good stuff. Not only are you going to hear marketing, but you're going to hear about your mind. So can I get one of my team members to shut these two doors back here? That would be much appreciated. And Dean, I want you to bedazzle everybody.
Bedazzle.
In the next 10 minutes, they need to hear something that was worth 10 times the investment they made just to come down here. Can that be done?
I think it can. Okay. Absolutely.
All right, because they're demanding. Look at this crowd. You see how demanding they are?
They're
selfish, demanding people.
They really are. Mm-hmm. They're our favorite time. They're our favorite kind.
All right.
And again. So let's continue talking about profit activator number 2, which is compelling people to call you. We talked before we had Lou about the first job of getting into the mind of your prospect, understanding what's going on in their mind. And when you know what's going on in their mind, when you know what those conversations are, you know what the cheese is for them, all you have to do really is get the cheese in front of them, and they're going to be compelled to want that cheese. That's really as simple an analogy as you can get. So when we look at the second job of this is now to get your prospect to raise their hand. That's job number 2. Once we understand what it is that they want, all we're doing is just out of that entire pool of people, out of all of those 2,000 lakefront homeowners, we just want the ones who are thinking about selling their house to raise their hand. It's almost like the example I use, comparing it to personal promotion, where we talk about sending out postcards that are branding and all about you and get your company name and try and encourage people to do business with you. The example that I always would use, we would do big seminars like this every month for real estate agents. We'd have them all in here. And I would always ask one person, I said, if I gave you a choice right now, let's imagine that this room right here represents a 500 home subdivision. And every person in this room is one of the homeowners of those 500 homes. Now, if I gave you the choice of coming up on stage right here, and I'd introduce you, and I'd give you 2 minutes to tell everybody all about you and your business, and I'd help you get your name out there. I'd help you get to know that all of these 500 people would know who you are. Or if I gave you the choice of staying right there in your seat and bringing you an envelope, and inside that envelope would be a piece of paper with the name, address, and telephone number of the 50 people in this room who are going to sell their home in the next 12 months. Which would be more valuable to you? Which choice would you take? You'd take the envelope, wouldn't you? Because those are the only 50 people that really have any potential of being your client in the next 12 months. So why not focus all of your attention on those 50 people? Instead of trying to have to spread your message over all 500, let's Send it to the people who it actually matters to. That's why we break up in your before unit those profit activators of compel your prospects to call you, which just means to identify themselves and then educate and motivate them. So we're doing a lot more in the educating and motivating part. We can spend more money. We can send more impactful communications. We can do it more frequently because they're a much higher probability that they're actually going to do something. And we'll talk about that whole conversion process when we go into profit activator number 3. But what we need to know in order to get your prospects to raise their hand, we know who they are, we know who you're trying to attract, we know what the conversations that are going on in their head, so we can use that to identify the cheese that we will offer them to get them to be compelled to identify themselves for you. And now we need to get that message to them. And there's really 2 types of prospects that you have. There are either visible prospects or there are invisible prospects. And there's a difference in the way that you approach them. See, visible prospects are people that you can point at, that you can say, my target market is chiropractors. There's a list of chiropractors available. I know that you're a chiropractor and I can get my message right to you. Lakefront homeowners are a visible prospect. I can get a list of all of the people who own the 2,000 homes on a lake in Winter Haven. Boat owners would be a visible prospect. Architects, golfers, stamp collectors, anybody who's got something where you can get a list of them, that's a visible prospect. But a lot of you have invisible prospects where you can't identify who they are. One of the things that when you look at our approach for the lakefront sellers, they're visible, but people who are going to buy a lakefront home are invisible prospects because they could be coming from anywhere. They could be coming from within Winter Haven. They could be coming from out of state. They could be coming from anywhere. You can't get a list of people who are about to buy a lakefront home. Just like you can't get a list of people who are about to buy a boat or people with back pain. Somebody who's just twisted their back, you can't get a list of those people. It's all of a sudden it happens and they've got this need. One of our things, we have a book called Stop Your Divorce and at stopyourdivorce.com. And you can't get a list of people whose spouse just told them that they want a divorce. It's not available. So what you have to do with invisible prospects is you have to create your own list. You have to do something that's going to get people to raise their hand and identify themselves as somebody who is a prospect. So you turn your invisible prospect into a visible prospect, and now you can communicate with them. And there's a different way that you want to try and reach out to your prospects depending on where they are on this matrix right here. So if we've got 2 options, we've got either visible prospects and invisible prospects, and we've got offline methods of trying to reach them and online methods of trying to reach them. So this little matrix on page 21, everything that you're going to do is going to fall onto this page because all we're going to do is we're going to try and reach our prospects through one of these methods, and we're going to get them to respond by one of these methods. They're either going to call a free recorded message or they're going to go to a website and leave their name and their contact information for you, or their name and their email address. That everything is right there. That's what we're trying to do. Now, when we look at it, if your prospect is visible, how many people have visible prospects as who you're trying to reach, okay? And how many people have invisible prospects? Okay, a lot of you. So it's a good mix here. Now, when you look at this, let's say that we want to try and reach our visible prospects first. And we want to reach them offline. We want to try and reach people in the most direct way that you possibly can. So if you've got a list of visible people and you have a message that you want to get out to them, one of the easiest things that you can do offline is send them a postcard. You can send a postcard right to this list. That's what we do with the lakefront homeowners. We send them the postcard. We offer them the free October 2012 report on Winter Haven lakefront house prices. We direct them to either call this number for a free recorded message or go to this website to get the report. That's the only thing that's on the postcard. We're not trying to say to people, list with Julie Matthews. We're not trying to say Julie Matthews has sold more homes than anybody. We're not trying to convince them of anything. All we're doing is getting a compelling offer in front of somebody who really wants the information. Anybody who's going to be selling their house is going to want to get that information. So they go to the website or they call the free recorded message. So it's a very easy way to reach them. That's what we were describing with Adrian, with the mainframe outsourcing. You know, their target audience, Fortune 1000 companies. They get a list of those people. They mail them the postcard, offer them the free guide on mainframe outsourcing pricing, and they go and they download it, and now you've got a prospect that you've engaged in a dialogue with. Now, if you want to reach them online, and you've got a visible prospect, a really easy way is if you have their email address. You can send them a simple email. That's just like what we were describing with the do you do birthdays? That's a very simple thing because we've got a direct list of all of those people. Another thing that
we got Craig.
We got Craig, good.
Just so you know.
Is he getting all mic'd up?
He's ready.
He's ready and mic'd?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Good, because this is going to fit in right with what we're talking about. So if you've got a visible prospect like that, sometimes asking the simplest question or just getting them to take one step is the easiest thing to do. You know, I mentioned with the postcard guys, what we do, we've got a program called gettinglistingssold.com, and we get all the data of all the listings that come on the market all around the country, and in the morning after you've listed that property, we send out an email, and it's got the address of the property in the subject line. If you just listed 22 Greystone, we say 22 Greystone is the subject line. All the message says is, "Hi Joe, I put together some marketing ideas for 22 Greystone. Take a look and let me know what you think." And we put a link that says 22 Greystone, Ramona. And that's it. That's the only thing in the message. We send that message out, and we get 30% plus of the people who get that message to click through to the website. Because all we wanted to do was get them to take that one step. We're not trying to convince them to buy. We're not trying to convince them to do anything but click on that link. That's all we needed to do. So if we've got invisible prospects, and we want to reach them offline, that's where we have to use things like display ads, where we can get in front of people where they're gathering. That's why there are, if you're looking for a home, there's Homes magazines, where people look through the Homes magazines. Or that's the whole backbone of the magazine publishing industry. You know, as you're gathering people who have a high likelihood to be interested in what the magazine is about. If you're somebody who sells backpacks and sells camping equipment and you want to reach your invisible prospect, it might be a good idea to get in front of people who subscribe to Backpacking Magazine. Does that make sense? That you're going where people gather. Where are they likely to hang out? Now, you can do that even with low price things. If you're a local business and you're trying to reach people locally, one of the things that we'll do is do things like public notice flyers, where we'll take just flyers that offer something and put them up in the grocery store, at the library, at the recreation center, in laundromats, in apartment buildings, all the places where there are bulletin boards. Put those up with little tear tabs, and people will tear them off, as long as you've got your compelling message. We would do those. There's an example of one of those, I think, in here. There's an example of a public notice flyer here we go, on page 58. We would do things like this. We'd put this up in the grocery store. Public notice, Georgetown, Ontario, zero down payment mortgage programs for $225,000 to $520,000 Dollar Homes and Condos, free recorded message, or we'd have the website right on a tear-off tab there, georgetownzerodown.com, and that would be something that we would just put up everywhere there was a bulletin board. These are very cheap. We do them on bright yellow paper. People would take them and they would respond, because all we're trying to do is get those people to raise their hand. If we want to do that same thing with invisible prospects online, that's where we would do things like banner ads or pay-per-click ads or Facebook ads, where you're putting your message in front of people based on what you do know about them. I mean, if you're looking for your invisible prospect, somebody whose spouse just told them that they want a divorce, what they're likely to do next is probably go to Google and type in, how do I stop my divorce? Or advice on stopping my divorce, all those kind of things. And now you can, with pay-per-click ads, get your message right in front of them. So we have an ad that says, stop your divorce. And people click on it, and then we tell them all about our book, and they buy the book. But you couldn't get to those prospects any other way because they're invisible. So you got to get in front of them. So when you start thinking about that, how's that going to work for you? And then just focus on what are we going to do to get them to respond. If you get a chance, outside, one of the sponsors of the booths outside there is allclients.com. That's somebody that we use, and you can do everything that I'm talking about with that one program. You can build landing pages, you can use the recorded messages, you can send out automated emails to people, you can get your list all together in there. It's all in one tool. So that's why we've invited them to come and be one of the people that we introduce people to, because that's who I use, and I'd recommend that you look at it too. Makes all of this stuff really easy, because when you really break down the components of it, there's not too many things that you have to really master. It's all about the message. You know, we talk about the difference between ideas or execution. You know, all of these things, I'm sharing with you the execution. Anybody can execute these things. It's about sending out a postcard or putting up a banner ad or putting up a landing page, but it's the idea. It's what are you going to put on that page that's going to make all the difference. The mechanics of it are simple, really simple. So, Joe, let's bring Craig up and maybe talk about some of these copy tips, because we've got a cool opportunity here.
Well, yeah, and let me mention about copy in general. You know, if it was not for sales copy, I never would have been able to do any of the things that I did in my initial cleaning company. The first copywriter I hired cost $1,800, and I had to pay for that on credit cards when I didn't even know what the offer was going to be. I just knew that I needed to can and clone myself, because that's what copy allows you to do. That's what advertising allows you to do. You know, salesmanship in print was, who said that? John?
Kennedy.
Johnny Kennedy, yeah. And basically, you know, my first consumer awareness guide ended up becoming the seed that grew free recorded messages, that grew videos, I mean, everything. And, you know, copy, I did an interview with a guy named Ted Nicholas many years ago, and he talked about copy as the oxygen that allows your advertising and your marketing to work. And it's that important to your business. Without it, you're not going to do well. And so Craig Clemens, I've got a little about. He's our friend. We can say the real Craig that we know, or we could try to make him sound professional. How do you want to do this?
Well, you know what? I'm excited that Craig's here because, you know, I've known him from the very beginning of his copywriting career, sitting with Eben and.
Yeah, so here, so it's like, many know Craig as the copywriter who worked with Eben Pagan to create a $20 million a year business in the very competitive dating advice niche. But what most don't know is in the last 3 years, Craig has gone on to create his own 8-figure business from scratch. The way he did it was with hard-hitting, irresistible sales copy. And at this event, he's going to be sharing simple secrets that you can use to make your marketing outpull your competitors and dominate and become the dominant player in your niche, no matter what type of business you're in, and even if you've never written a piece of copy in your life.
Wow.
Now that's pretty compelling copy, right?
I can't wait to hear what he has to say.
If he can deliver on this piece of copy, that's pretty. No, but here's the cool thing. See, Craig. What's that?
I hired someone to write that for me. I paid him $15,000.
Awesome, awesome. No, but here's the cool thing. Craig really doesn't go out and hold himself out as a public speaker. I mean, he's very astute at what he does, and I think what he's going to share with you is just going to change your life. So it's going to be totally badass. So give it up for Mr. Craig Clemens.
Let's slide these out of the way.
Who literally ran here to get here on time because he decided he needed to go out and guzzle down like a gallon of coffee or something. So
It was Apple Maps. Apple Maps screwed me.
yeah,
Apple Maps. They blame it on Apple Maps.
New greatest excuse.
yes.
Awesome, brother.
Yeah.
We're excited.
Thank you, Evan.
Okay, we're going to let you do it.
We'll depart the stage.
We're going to come
then, I
back
guess.
up. If it gets
All right.
out of control,
If you
remote
need
control,
anything,
we're going to be right here.
where's the little clicker, Dean?
Oh, yeah, you want the clicker, don't
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
I'm not sure I'm ready to give up control of the clicker.
Come on, man.
Give your neighbor a hand while we're getting this set up. All right.
There you go.
All right. How you guys doing? So when Dean and Joe asked me to come here today, I didn't really know what to talk about. So I just thought back to what had brought in the most revenue for my company over the last 12 months. Because, we played we're on the almost exclusively internet marketing, and the game changes very fast. A lot of the stuff that I did when I worked with Eben doesn't convert at all anymore. So, I wanted to give you guys some new tips that are working right now that have helped put a lot of money in my pocket, generate a lot of revenue for us, and I hope they will do the same for you. So I got my best 5 here, and we're going to go through them rapid fire. Are you ready? Yes. All right. Tip number 1, as Dean was talking about earlier, you want to think about what your prospect is looking for and get into your prospect's mind. And something I heard a while ago, and I believe it was Wyatt Woodsmall that first said this, was that if you can explain your prospect's problem better than they can explain it to themselves, they will unconsciously credit you with knowing how to solve it. So, I found one of the best ways to do that is by asking them questions that show you know where they are and you can relate to them. And I like to do this at the very beginning of a piece of copy. So, for example, if you're trying to sell something in the weight loss market, good first question, you start, dear friend, are you tired of looking in the mirror and not liking what you see? Do you ever secretly worry your body might be keeping you from having a happy love life? And then the third example, do you ever feel embarrassed that you can't control your food cravings to the point where you try to hide them from others? And as you can see, these are pretty general things, because you don't want to box anyone out, but you are going to grab anyone that is looking to lose weight with this stuff because, let's face it, anyone that's overweight is not going to be enjoying what they see in the mirror. And anyone that's overweight and single or even in a marriage is probably worried that it's either keeping them from getting their mate or keeping them from having the sex life that they want. And then the third one goes a little bit deeper. So the first two are broad, but the third one I think is what would really hook someone in this. And I'll tell you where I got that one. I got that one when I was having a conversation with someone who had gone through the weight loss struggle, and he actually lost 100 pounds. And he was telling me what it was like when he was thicker. And he told me that one of the things that really made him know that he had to get off his butt and finally do something about it was he was out to dinner with some friends, and he, in front of them, wanted to put on a facade that he was, in shape or trying to get there, and wasn't just, consuming everything in sight. So he ate a nice, healthy dinner of, salmon, salad while he was out. And as soon as he got in the car on the way home, he drove straight to 7-Eleven, bought a 12-pack of powdered donuts, and just ate them all before he even got back to his house. And he said that was the turning point that let him know that he really had a problem. So by interviewing him, I got into the deeper end of the psych, and that's where I came up with that last question. So you can do that in any market. And I encourage you to, before you write these questions, is to go and interview your prospects as many as you can. And then also, another exercise I highly recommend, and you guys took them through this a little bit in a sense, and that's to write an autobiography as your prospect and go into detail. So sit down and think about who your prospect is. How old is that person? Are they male or female? Do they have any kids? Are they married, divorced? And obviously, you're going to have to fill in some blanks here, but just make it up. My name is John. I'm 43 years old. I've got 2 kids. I drive a tow truck, and I live in a home that I saved up really hard to pay for, and I'm scraping by just a little bit every month. And the guys at work kind of poke fun at me sometimes because I'm a little bit thicker than them. Kind of bothers me, but I got to manage to land a great wife, and my kids love me, but the gut is bothering me. And then I just went to my doctor, and he told me my cholesterol is too high. So I'm online right now, and I'm looking for something to do about it because it's time for me to fix this once and for all. So go into detail and write that out. I do that every time I start to write a piece of copy. And then immediately, what I do is I start writing questions like this. And I'll come up with usually 10 to 15 questions along these lines. And then I'll look at them and I'll be like, okay, are any of these too specific? And then I'll start putting the specific ones toward the bottom. I'll put the broader ones at the top. And then I'll come up with my top 3 to 5 that I think will hit home with everybody, but aren't too broad that they're going to be not showing them that you connect with them. So you're not going to say do you want to lose weight? You're going to say, are you tired of the mirror not liking what you see? Is a little bit more personal. And you used to see this in TV commercials, infomercials, all this stuff. It's a pretty common technique. And you can use it in small print ads, bigger magazine ads, or in long-form sales letters, video sales letters, anywhere you want. So use it. It will greatly increase conversions because it'll attach your copy to the prospect at the beginning. And then once you got them at the beginning, then they will pay way more attention to the rest. All right, next trick. Number 2 is the 3 secrets trick. And this is along the lines of what Joe and Dean talk about with the educate and inform your prospects in a way that none of the other people in your niche do. So what I like to do with that is I like to reveal 3 big secrets. And you can do this in any market. 3 big secrets most men will never know about women. 3 big secrets gyms and trainers don't want you to know about weight loss. 3 big secrets to carpet cleaning that most carpet cleaners are trying to hide from you, et cetera, et cetera. And then what you want to do is you want to pick 3 things that are counterintuitive that they wouldn't have thought of on their own, and then list them and explain them. And that, again, goes a little bit along the lines of showing them that you know what they're going through, but then it takes it to the next level by showing them that you also know a little bit more and have an edge over everyone else who's out there trying to offer them a solution for their problem. So weight loss, here's an example for 3 counterintuitive secrets that most people who were reading this would find eye-opening. Most people who are going online or picking up a fitness magazine or somewhere trying to figure out how to lose weight wouldn't pop into their head. They're thinking they're going to open it up, and it's going to be like, okay, you got to do 5 cardio sessions for 3 hours a day, right? So the first secret is cardio is not the best way to burn fat. And this is actually true if you look at the newest weight loss programs and all that, it's stuff like P90X, CrossFit. It's actually interval training, high-intensity weight training, things like that. So then you explain that below it. So you'd say cardio is not the best way to burn fat. Did you know that you can work out on the cardio machine 3 times a week for 40 minutes each time, and you won't get nearly as much of weight loss result as you would by doing 3 10-minute workouts that week? Here's what I mean. And then you can tell them about the interval training, stamina conditioning. Don't go too deep into it, though. You want to save that for your product, but just hint to them that you know the answer. Another example, workout intensity, not workout time, is the most important factor of how much fat you burn. Another thing along the same lines, the way to fat loss is not by crash dieting, but by eating more. And they're going to read these and be like, what? It really hooks them because they've never heard this stuff before. They've heard that if you want to lose weight, you got to work your butt off on the treadmill. For a long time, secret number 2, you need to starve yourself. So you take basically the 3 things that most people are going to assume about your category, and you just disembunk them, and it totally blows their mind. And I've actually had a sales letter go from not converting at all to cold traffic, went back and threw in, this one actually threw in 5 secrets. It was a sex advice product for men. 5 secrets about sex that women don't want you to know. No, actually, I'm sorry. It was 5 secrets about sex that women secretly do want all guys to know. And revealed the secrets, and they're like, oh, this person knows their stuff. And that took it from a non-converting letter to one of our biggest winners. So, 3 secrets trick. Use it. Next. Okay, now we're going to get into some more marketing-specific things and a little bit less in the copy train. But as I talk, think about how all this stuff will tie together. So the next thing is secret I call that a lot of internet marketers know about, but not a lot of them use as much as I think they should, and that's the one-time only offer. And what a one-time only offer is, you give them a one-time only discount when they're not really expecting it, and you mean it. And I see you guys taking pictures. I'm going to give Joe the PDF of all this, make sure everyone gets it in their hands. So, do take notes, but you don't have to paparazzi the screens. So, you can paparazzi me, though. It makes me feel important. Okay, so one-time only offer. My favorite place to use one-time only offer is right after they've already purchased something from you. So as Gary Halbert says, the best time to sell someone something is immediately after they've purchased a similar product. So, taking this and putting it on steroids, which the internet allows you to do, is you can make them a one-time only offer immediately after they bought your lead product. So, great example of how this could work is, let's say you have an ebook describing, dating tips for men, and it's $30. So they go, they buy the ebook. As soon as they enter their credit card information and they hit submit, the thank you page says, wait, before you go, read carefully because you're never going to see this offer again. First off, I want to congratulate you on getting my ebook. It contains the exact tips and strategies you need to meet and date the women you want. Since I know you're serious about this, I wanted to make you a special offer on my Advanced Dating Techniques series, which is going to show you dozens more tricks and techniques for meeting women online, coffee shops, grocery stores, getting phone numbers and dates, getting women to choose you over other men, all demonstrated in live video. This program normally sells on my website for $299. But since I know you're serious about this because you just bought my ebook, if you take advantage of this offer now, you can get it for just $97. Now, before you go, think carefully because you're never going to see this offer again. And then you have the yes, I want this also button, or it's smaller, no thanks. And fortunes have been made on upsell chains. Tell you what, this is one of the easiest ways to grow your revenue of any internet business. This is a doubler or a tripler for a lot of businesses. And half the reason why is because you don't stop after the first upsell either. So after they take the first one, you've got a rabid customer there. And I don't know if Gary Halbert exactly said this, but I think if he was around today, he would say the best time to sell someone something is after they've already bought 2 of your products. Because people take that first upsell are rearing at the bit. So I like to give them a third thing right there. Experiment with price points. I've found in certain niches that something around the same price as the second upsell does well, so another $97 product. I've found in others that you should sell something a little lower price and others higher price, so definitely test. And it's usually the same price or higher. So then you make them another offer on, let's say, advanced online dating robot secrets. How would you like to never have to leave your house and have trains of Playboy Playmates showing up at your door? Well, this what my online dating secrets program is going to show you how to do. And since I know you're serious about this, I'm not going to sell it to you for the $500 that's on my site. You can get it right now for just $197. But think carefully, because you will never see this offer again. Let's say they hit no thanks. Okay, fine. You twisted my arm. As you know, this program normally sells on my website for $497. As you also probably know, it's a relatively new product. I know the stuff works, and I want to see, though, if it works for you, because I want to get more testimonials for this product so I can show other guys how powerful it is. So since you twisted my arm, and because I want to get this in as many hands as possible, and because I want to prove to you how good these techniques are, I'm going to let you have it just one time for $97. All I ask is you do me one small favor. When you get the product and you see it really does, put a literal train of Playboy Playmates lined up outside of the van you live in. I want you to take a minute and write me a testimonial telling me how great you think it is. Fair enough? Yes, add to cart. No thanks. If they hit no thanks on that, I will usually send them to another upsell. Why stop, right? I like, 3 or 4 is a sweet spot. I usually only do the downsell once, though. I wouldn't do the downsell too often because I feel that they'll start to expect it. And with any of my businesses, I'm all about repeat customers. That's not going to be the only thing I ever sell them. So I don't want them thinking, the next time when I do a product launch that they see the first upsell, they're like, I'm going to sneak one in on this guy and hit no thanks and get the other offer. No. So I only do the downsell usually on one time in the upsell chain, and it's usually on the second product in the upsell chain, but test it on the first. Oh, here's another place. Another extremely profitable place to use the one-time only offer discount. And I haven't seen a whole lot of guys doing this. And I told it to a friend of mine who has a business selling golf instructional DVDs. And it increased his monthly gross something like 11% across the top. Just this one thing, okay? And what it is a one-time only offer that's attached to your opt-in box. So the way it works is they will go to his site, which sells these golf instruction videos, and he's got some amazing articles and content out there. And in the right, he's got a little opt-in box. Sign up here to get our 10 daily golf secrets of better golfing. Whatever. They put in their email address. They hit submit. Up pops a pop-up. Thank you for signing up for our Golfing Tips newsletter. But wait, you're only going to see this one time. Since I now know that you're a serious student of the game of golf and you really want to improve your swing, I'd like to offer you our Expert Golf Advanced DVD course, one-time only discount of 25% off. Grab it right now. You can get it for $74 instead of the normal $99 that you've seen it all over our website for. Those things convert amazingly. Something like you see 10, 15% of the people will go ahead and buy your product right there. And that puts another customer in your customer funnel. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more also. But one thing that is great about the stuff Joe and Dean teaches you is once you get someone in your funnel, then you can become the part of the after part of your business. And you guys, once they're in, it's so much easier to sell a repeat customer than it is to get a brand new customer off the street, and so much more profitable. So I love giving them an offer on the initial product. Next secret. And actually that brings me perfectly to this one. This is one of the best ways I've found to get someone into that funnel so you can get them straight to the during and after units. That's the $1 ebook offer. So what you do is you sell a high-value ebook for just $1, but you have an amazing upsell sequence like we just talked about, using those one-time only offers. So I think the golf business would be a great example for this. You have your Tiger Woods Golf Secrets ebook. They go, you send out a promo to your list. Hey guys, it's Golf Swing Jim here. I've decided to do something crazy. As you may have heard, I've spent the last 3 months compiling all of my best golfing secrets into a 175-page book that I'm going to get put in bookstores all across the country. You're going to see it on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, everything. And when you do, you're going to see it for $29.95. But to thank you for being a part of this special little newsletter, to thank you for being with me since day one, since I first started this on the internet, I'm offering it to you, my treasure reader, for just $1. Why am I doing this? Just to say thanks. There's no catch. It's a one-time only payment. It's just $1 for you to enjoy. I hope you get it. I hope you love it. If you do, go on Amazon and review it when a new book comes out. But act fast, because I can only keep this offer open for a short time. Go here right now to get my brand new ebook, Tiger Woods Golf Secrets, all 173 pages of my best tips and techniques for $1. Send them straight to an order page. And then as soon as they buy it, thank you for buying the ebook. Before you go, wait around, because you're only going to see this offer once. And then you make them an offer on your advanced golfing DVDs, instructional videos, whatever you got, all the way down the pipeline, exactly what we were talking about. So I just did this promotion in a fitness company of mine, and we didn't really know how it would do. We saw some other guys doing it in the internet marketing, like make money spaces. We're like, here's my book on how to make money on eBay for $1, or like that. And we bought it, and it was kind of a cheesy book. But we're like, we want to build customer value, and we happen to have a book laying around. And the way we made our book is we took a bunch of our old newsletters and we put them all together into the book. But then to make it new content, we hired an animator and had him go and animate everything out. So, it went from being some standard newsletters to full demonstration graphics and things like that. Some really cool drawings in there. And we threw in some additional pattern content. But, it was a great book because, our newsletters were awesome. And we decided to put this in the $1 offer. And our average sale, because our upsell funnel was very strong, was not $1, but $11.77. And the earnings per click on that thing, compared to the other stuff we were mailing, was amazing. It was one of the best promotions we've ever done. So I highly recommend that. All right, so that brings me to, and I want to hit on this again because it's so important. It not only creates big initial cash, you're not only going to see a huge earnings per click rate on this, you're going to create new customers that might have only been mere subscribers forever. You're going to get so many customers, guys who are on the fence and been on your list, never bought anything. This is a great way, if you want to even segment out your list and just hit guys who've been on your list 60 days and not bought anything, send them the $1 ebook offer, because you're going to get those guys into the funnel, and now you got them in the during and the after units, and that's when you can start using these other strategies to monetize them, because once they've pulled out that credit card once and given you that exchange and made them a customer, their mind changes. They're not just some reader. Now they're in. They feel like they're in your inner circle. And if you give them a lot of value for that $1, what they're going to do, they're going to get that ebook. They're going to read the 173 pages. They're going to be like, wow, this is amazing. If he gave this away for $1, what am I going to get for $97? They're going to think that is going to be the greatest thing ever, and make it great, and you'll be able to keep selling them over and over and over. Also, if you're worried about getting too many books out there, it's going to create viral marketing for you. So, don't worry about that. Yes, they're going to be put on the file sharing networks and torrents and all that, and people are going to be downloading them for free. You're not going to get your $1, and you're not going to get your upsells, but you're going to have your links in there. You're going to have your brand in there, and when people are searching for golf and things like that, or whatever business you're in on the torrents, they're going to be finding your book, and that'll lead them to your other higher priced programs and get them on your newsletter list and into your funnel. So, $1 ebook offer, use it. Next and last million marketing, whatever I called this presentation. Something good. All right. But actually, the reason I named this presentation 5 copy and marketing tricks that are worth $1 million each is because I estimate that every one of these tricks has personally grossed an additional $1 million across the board for the business I have with my partners. Because they act together, you're working on a compound interest here. You're getting more people to read the copy by using the 3 secrets. You're getting more people the 3 questions. Then you're getting more people to keep reading with the 3 secrets. Using things like the one-time only offers. After they buy something, you're upping that customer value. You're grabbing more people off your email list and turning them into customers with that $1 ebook offer. Once they're customers, you're going to go back and they're going to come in your next sales letter, which uses the 3 questions to get them in and the 3 secrets to hook them. And then once they get on that, they're going to get in another upsell funnel where they're getting more amazing upsells and they're going to get more downsells. And it's just money, money, money. So use them. All right, last tip. And unlike when Dean closed out Joe Polish's marketing event in New York, I did save the best for last. So, no, I'm kidding. I'm sure Dean's presentation was much better than Joe's at that conference, but unfortunately, I was there. All right, I kid. Number 5, the survey money machine. All right, this is one of my favorite techniques I've ever come up with, and what it does is it kind of combines techniques number 1 and number 3 for huge sales. And the way it works is simple. What you do is you send them an email asking them to take a short survey. But the survey is not your average survey. Who here was at last year's I Love Marketing conference? Who here was in the room when Robert Cialdini came up on stage? How awesome was that? That guy is just amazing, and he wrote a book called Influence, one of my favorite psychology and persuasion books of all time. It's definitely a must-read no matter what type of business you're in. But one of the principles he talks about in there is called commitment and consistency, and that's kind of if you get someone along the yes line, where they're agreeing with you and taking little actions, they're more likely to take a big action at the end. So he talked about in the book, I believe it was campaign donors. They found that they called people up who were registered fans of, let's say, Mitt Romney, and they'd be like, hey, would you like to donate some money to Mitt Romney's campaign? They're like, no. And then they took a second sample of 10,000 or so people or whatever, and they called them up, and first they said, hey, we know you're a supporter of Mitt Romney. Would you be open to putting a Mitt Romney sign in your yard? We'll come out and bring it to you for free. You just put it up there. And they got a certain amount of people to take the sign. And then a couple of weeks later, they called those people back, and they said, hey, would you like to donate to Romney's campaign? And the response was insane because they'd already taken that first step. They were already kind of in. And that's kind of how that $1 ebook offer works also, with the upsell chain. But anyways, you're going to see that applied right now in the survey. So the survey you send them, the email should go something like, hey, I want to find out some more about you, so I created this little survey. Check it out. I really appreciate you filling it out. I really appreciate you filling it out honestly because I sincerely want to know what is going on in your life and what you've been up to. And at the end, there's a little surprise for you. So make sure you fill it out all the way to the end. Only take you 5 minutes. So then the survey goes like this. And I usually do 10 to 15 questions, but I kept this short and sweet for this presentation, but you'll get the point. So let's say the category again is dating advice for men. So you got a guy who's taking the survey, and because you guys wrote that autobiography about him, you know all about this guy. You know his problems. You know what kind of frustrations he has when he came to your site. So you know how to get in this guy's head, and you know some of those good questions to ask him from the questions trick, right? But let's get it started simple. First question, how old are you? Then you have categories. 18 to 25, 25 to 35, etc. Next question, are you single or in a relationship? Single, in a relationship, have a checkbox. About how many dates are you going on each month now? So what's the guy thinking now? He's on your list because he needs help dating. He's probably not going on too many dates. Then you have the categories 0 to 1, 2 to 4. I get all the dates I want. And then, sorry, Joe, it's been a while since I've been on a date. So you have those check boxes. Number 4, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it to you to one day get the girl of your dreams? Okay, so let me ask a question to all of the single men in here. Is it important to you to one day meet and get the girl of your dreams? If so, if it is, raise your hand. I'd think so. So it's kind of a loaded question. Everyone, I think, is going to put at least an 8. You know, so they're committing themselves to the process here. And then you scare them a little bit. So if a girl you met had 3 other guys interested in her, how likely would she be to choose you? And I think I speak for every guy in this room, except for maybe Lou Ferrigno if he's still in here. But I think we've all had the experience of losing a girl to another guy before. So, you know, that makes pushing those worry buttons a little bit. Hit submit in the survey. Thank you for completing the survey. Here's a special coupon for good one time only for our new program, The Attraction Secret, How Any Guy Can Become Irresistible to Hot Women. I tell you what, after a guy has gone through that survey and gone down that grease slide of questions with all the Cialdini commitment principles and the one-time only offer, and it's 50% off, and you're going to solve all his problems right there because you're in his head, you just asked him all those questions, he's going to hit buy a very, very, very large percent of the time. So use that one. That is probably our number 1 email money waker. And that's all I got. Thank you guys very much.
Thanks, brother.
My pleasure.
Listen, how many of you, and everything that we've talked about so far today, how many of you have a couple of ideas that you'd like to go back and implement right now? Now, you know, this is why, right now, what we're going to do is we're going to bring somebody up to talk right now who's going to help you with that entrepreneurial mind that you've got right now. Because everybody in here, your mind immediately goes off onto all these things that you could do, all these things that you could try. And then you're going to get paralyzed with all of the things that you have to implement. You've got this whole to-do list now. So we're going to bring up our friend. But first of all, let's thank Craig. Let's give Craig a big round of applause. The funny thing is, I remember with Eben sitting with Craig, and you know, Craig's learning copy, doing all of this stuff with Eben, and just to see what he's become now is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it goes to show you that once you learn a method, you can write your own paycheck.
That's it.
Now he's running a 8-figure business, which is awesome. And what's funny is he probably works the least in the partnership too, because he just writes the copy and they run all the other stuff. So the pen.
That's okay. It's perfect.
The pen.
We were asking him questions the other night. He doesn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
The pen is mightier than the sword.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. So look, our next presenter, I'm really, really stoked that he's here. It's a technical term, stoked. He's a dear friend of mine. I've known him for several years. He's an incredible mind, and he understands the entrepreneurial mind so well. He's the top ADD, ADHD psychiatrist in the world. I'll just read this little blurb I have here, but he's a Harvard psychiatrist, New York Times bestselling author, world-renowned speaker, and a leading authority in the field of ADHD. He founded the Hollowell Centers for Cognitive and Emotional Health. He's authored 18 books and is a very recognized speaker. He's been on lots of television on many psychological topics and offers groundbreaking advice on ADHD, successful families, how to help your employees shine, and staying connected in this crazy, busy world. He's been featured on Dr. Oz, Oprah, 2020, Good Morning America, an interview for the New York Times, Newsweek, Time Magazine, and more. He's not just been on Oprah once. He's been on Oprah 6 times. He's been on Dr. Phil 3 times. He's been on the Today Show, 2020, multiple times. This guy knows his stuff. And he spoke at New York for our 25K annual event in the year before. They love him. I mean, and we're talking people that are running multi-million-dollar businesses, very successful people, and they're like, this guy gets me.
He does.
And so he's got this idea, which is you've all, not all of you, but some of you, how many of you participated in the survey that we sent out? Okay? This is going to become part of a book on the entrepreneur, probably called The Entrepreneur, which with one of the characters being me, my life, which will be kind of funny.
Love it.
That requires me to have to share a lot of things that we'll see if we want written about. But that being said, we've got a handout for everyone too called The Mind of the Entrepreneur, which just kind of pegs it. And so Ned's going to come up here and share with you a whole bunch of really valuable and useful stuff about your mind, about behavior, about ADHD, and give it up for Dr. Edward Hollowell. This will be fun.
Yes, thank you.
Stoked. Awesome.
I'm stoked.
Yes, stoked. Thank you, Ned.
Thank you. Thank you. We should first give it up for Dean and Joe and the staff that have been working all day to put this together and keep it running like clockwork. And that introduction, of course, makes me sound much more important than I am. I always like to quote my son. I have 3 kids. Lucy's 23, Jack is 20, and Tucker is 17. And when Jack was about 12, I was going out to give a talk one day, and he says, "Dad, where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to give a talk." And he looks at me and says, "Why would anyone want to listen to you talk?" So I always think of that when I'm being introduced, because they're marketing me, Joe wants to make me sound important. But none of us is all that important. Anyway, except Sean Stevenson. What an amazing, amazing man he is. He's one of my heroes. What I want to do in the time we have is bring you into the mind of the entrepreneur as I have come to know and love it. Why, you might ask, would a psychiatrist know anything about this? Well, as it happens, I've been studying this fascinating trait, so misleadingly called attention deficit disorder. It's not a deficit, it's not a disorder. Other than that, it's a great term. In fact, people who don't have it have what I call attention surplus disorder. But as it happens, there is a tremendous overlap between most entrepreneurs and the trait of ADD. So I prefer to call it the entrepreneurial trait. And I've discovered this, in my 30 years of practice, but not only that, in my 62 years of life. Not only in working with the thousands and thousands of clients I've seen over the years, but I myself have this trait. And as I said, I'm 62, so I've been living with it for 62 years. I also have dyslexia, another misunderstood condition. So I really know it inside and out. And I also know that the kind of mind that you've got is particularly interesting because it is so, it can go one way or the other. And it's always doing that. It's always leading you one way or the other, which I will explain to you in a few minutes. But the reason that I am qualified to talk about it is indeed because I've been studying it for 30 years and living with it for 62. To set the stage, I want to tell you an anecdote, a true story, that I think really does capture the life of an entrepreneur. It's about a man by the name of Larry Walker, and some 25 years ago in California, he decided that he wanted to experience what it was like to fly. He had an idea, like all of you. He had an idea. And he wanted to experience the sensation as viscerally as he could of flight. So what did he do? He was an innovative guy. He went down to his local Army-Navy store and he bought some weather balloons, 2 weather balloons, and he bought a tank of helium. And he brought the balloons home and he tied them to his sturdy lawn chair, which he tethered to the bumper of his Jeep. He then inflated the balloons. He went inside and packed himself a picnic lunch, some sandwiches, and a 6-pack of beer. And he went out and he sat in the lawn chair and he cut the cord. Now his intent was to drift up, a few hundred feet above the neighborhood, survey the swimming pools and people doing what they do, have his picnic, and then he brought along a BB gun to shoot the balloons so he could drift back down to Earth. So there he is with his picnic, his beer, his BB gun. He cuts the tether, and that's when things begin to change. He doesn't drift up into the LA sky. He skyrockets like shot out of a cannon. He doesn't level off at 100 feet or 1,000 feet. He levels off at 14,000 feet. Now it's cold up there. The air is thin. Imagine he polished off that beer in a hurry. And there he was, 14,000 feet in a lawn chair. He didn't want to start shooting the balloons, at that height. What is he going to do? Well, he waits and he waits and he waits. 12 hours he's drifting. He finally drifts into the primary approach corridor of Los Angeles Airport, of LAX. Well, it was a United Airlines pilot who radios the control tower, "I just passed a man in a lawn chair with a gun." Well, they dispatched a helicopter, I don't know what you go, and they managed to bring Larry back down to Earth, and where he was promptly arrested for violating LAX airspace. And a reporter got wind of it, and he was on the scene, and he asked Larry, "Why did you do this?" And I loved his answer. It could be the entrepreneur's credo. He said, "Well, a man can't just sit around." And it just sums up to me what entrepreneurialism is all about. You try this, you try that, and now and then you end up 14,000 feet in a lawn chair, and you don't know what to do. Well, I want to give you some advice. You've had some wonderfully practical advice on what to do in terms of marketing, and I want to give you some insight in terms of how you regulate the internals, how you make best use of this amazing brain that you've got. We've heard earlier today, life is what you make it, and that's for sure true. One of the chief variables that determines what you make of it is how you understand, monitor, regulate, and direct your own psyche, your own brain. Entrepreneurs tend not to be terribly introspective, and that's fine. But now and then it's a good idea to get a little handle on who you are and why you do what you do so you can avoid making mistakes. Now, this survey that you filled out gives you a window into what you're at least willing to report on a survey. And I want to thank all of you so much for filling this out. On the plane yesterday, I read through the some 150 reports that we got, and I'm so grateful to you. And I sampled a few of the more representative ones, and also to sort of give you a sense of the range. There were 8 questions in the survey for those of you who didn't take it. Why have you chosen the path of an entrepreneur? What does being an entrepreneur mean to you? What do you love about being an entrepreneur? What do you hate about being an entrepreneur? What are some of the obstacles you face as an entrepreneur? What are some of the greatest rewards of being an entrepreneur? As an entrepreneur, what is your worst fear? And as an entrepreneur, what is your biggest and most exciting dream? Well, let me give you a sample. Why have you chosen the path? This is almost everyone's answer. Time, freedom, and unlimited income potential. What does being an entrepreneur mean to you? Creating a business and bringing it to profitability. What do you love about being an entrepreneur? The challenge of figuring out how to put it all together, the joy of winning when I get it right. What do you hate about being an entrepreneur? Juggling so many tasks, tight budgets, balancing between spending money to improve the business and feeling broke. What are some of the obstacles you face? No safety net, hard to take rejection. What are some of the greatest rewards? Cash flow, time flexibility, travel, sense of accomplishment, knowledge that I can do what most people can't. As an entrepreneur, what is your worst fear? That somehow my product won't work for people, that people will claim that they were taken advantage of. As an entrepreneur, what is your biggest and most exciting dream? Changing people's lives in a significant way. A lot of people, not just a few. Having enough money to live a comfortable lifestyle and spend my time learning and sharing good ideas with smart people. That set of answers is very representative. And now I'm going to select a few others. Live a life by design, not default, was a common one. Some of your dreams were quite breathtaking. As an entrepreneur, what is your biggest and most exciting dream? $600 million net profit a year, mining asteroids, reducing some of the world's biggest problems, changing lives. That's, what is it, the big, hairy, bodacious goal, 600 million a year. Why have you chosen the path of entrepreneur? This answer, being an entrepreneur to me is not a job description, but a lifestyle mindset. You see the world through a completely different filter than most in the corporate world do. That, and I could never take direction from someone else. I'm unemployable. Many of you said that. What's your worst fear? That my first successful business was a fluke and I won't be able to replicate it. And what is your biggest dream? To have a large funeral. This fellow was very short and to the point. Why have you chosen the path of entrepreneur? Money and chicks. What does being an entrepreneur mean to you? They worship me like a god. What do you love about being an entrepreneur? Make it rain, mofo. What do you hate about being an entrepreneur? When the rain stops, so does the dancer. What are some of the obstacles? Too many sets of books. What are the greatest rewards? High-fiving Donald Trump and saying, "What's up, my expletive?" What is your worst fear? That they will see I'm just like the Wizard of Oz, all smoke and mirrors. What is your biggest dream? To eat 10 Mentos and then drink a lot of Diet Coke. Splatter. What is your worst fear? The expletive imbecile miscreants in DC and Wall Street are planning to reduce us all to serfdom. What is your biggest dream? To be a model for my children in being successfully independent and wealthy so we can enjoy life and help as many other people do the same. Tremendous generosity, running through almost all the surveys was a sense of giving back. This fellow says, what is your biggest dream? Playing Santa Claus and being overly generous to people and causes I believe in. That was a common answer. As a group, you're very generous. I don't think I've ever met anyone more generous than Joe Polish, for example. I love this one. Why have you chosen the path of entrepreneur? Answer, yes. It's like Yogi Berra's line, when you come to a fork in the road, take it. You know? What does being an entrepreneur mean to you? freedom from dumbass bosses and freedom to maximize my potential. What do you love about being an entrepreneur? Freedom. What do you hate about it? There's no one to bounce ideas with. It's a lonely road. Why have you chosen? My college career counselor asked what major I wanted. I replied, jack of all trades. She replied, that doesn't exist. So I left, started my first business, and learned it does. What do you love about being an entrepreneur? The privilege of leadership. What do you hate about it? The burden of leadership. What are some of the obstacles? I get to choose the people I work with, but sometimes I choose wrong. Yeah. Why have you chosen the path? My life was changed by a chiropractor, and I did not know it at the time, and I knew at the time I wanted to spread health, but I knew I wanted to help. Why? Helping as many people as I can dramatically change their health. What are the greatest rewards? Freedom from being at a desk or a cube. What is your worst fear? Not serving as many people as I can before I go broke. And then finally, this was so succinct. Why have you chosen the path of entrepreneur? Control over my destiny. What does being an entrepreneur mean to you? Walk my own path. What do you love about being an entrepreneur? Having choice. What do you hate? That people don't understand you. What are some of the obstacles you face? Government regulations. What are some of the greatest rewards? Helping others succeed. What's your worst fear? Cash flow. What's your biggest and most exciting dream? Developing new opportunities. Well, that's a pretty representative sample of this wonderfully interesting mind. And you see, if you ask most people, send that survey out to most people don't want to be entrepreneurs. Most people want security. They say they like freedom, but they end up taking jobs with bosses and retirement plans. And that makes all the sense in the world, doesn't it? You know, just so you know, I myself left that world. Doctors, in a sense, will always have a job, but I've been an independent doctor, carving my own path and really marching to the beat of my own drum for 30 years, and truly have changed the field that I work in. At first being attacked by people who said I got it wrong, and now they're all agreeing that I have it right. And I knew I had it right, but like most of you, I had to go through some times where I had to answer to people who I knew were foolish, and yet not tell them that they were foolish, but find ways of getting it across. Well, so what is in the mix of your minds? And it really, most entrepreneurs have paradoxical pairs. They're driven, they're juggling, they're dealing with a host of paradoxical pairs. And I categorize them into C state and F state. C state is cool, calm, collected, careful, concentrated, convivial, courteous, creative. And then F state is frantic, fearful, forgetful, frenetic, feckless, about to utter another F word, you know. And so you have these two sides of a coin, and I'm going to give you many examples of it, because this is what I see over and over and over again. There's an advantageous side and a disadvantageous side, or what I call a C side and an F side. And to the extent you're able to take advantage of the constructive side and minimize the damage done by the destructive side, to that extent, you will not only succeed, but be happy. See, you want not just to make a lot of money, you want to enjoy doing it. As Joe says, ELF businesses, easy, lucrative, and fun. It's not just that you want to put up big numbers. You want to feel fulfilled, satisfied, proud of who you are. Someone your kids can be proud of, leaving the world a better place than you found it. And I've found with entrepreneurs, they really mean this. They don't just say it, they really mean it. I found one of the many things that I love about entrepreneurs, which is obvious I love entrepreneurs, is they're so idealistic. They are the opposite of cynical. They continue to believe in dreams, even after they've been shattered over and over and over again. And it's wonderful to see. They keep coming back for more. Well, let me tell you about some of these paradoxical pairs. Right at the top of the list is this ability to hyper-focus. People with the entrepreneurial trait can focus incredibly well when they're into something. They can drill down and spend hours wrapped in focus. And yet, at other times, they are completely clueless. Their brains are just wandering around, going here and there, and let's go there. Conversation with these people is like watching, just tangents and watching a kid scribble. I mean, it's just you can't follow it whatsoever. It borders on psychotic. I mean, it just a whole bunch of lots of words, like the dog barking, and giving up his blog. So this combination of super focus and totally inattentive. A tremendous desire to be free. The entrepreneur, probably the single most important value. What they treasure most is freedom, independence, tremendous desire to be free. But what that also means is they have trouble participating effectively on teams. And they have trouble with intimacy. They have trouble engaging in their private lives in an intimate fashion, lest they feel confined, lest they feel, don't fence me in. Cowboys are notorious entrepreneurs, notorious people who covet their freedom. So the two sides of the, one advantageous quality, the other can cause problems. Creative. Boy, oh boy, you guys are creative. You are, the reason you're the future of the world is you're so creative. By the way, I'm going to be going over to China with another educator to advise them on their educational system. The Chinese are very good at turning out people who will do exactly what they're told. Extremely good at that. But they are not good at what this country is really good at, which is innovating and creating. And they want to learn how to teach creativity. Well, you guys, we don't have to teach it to you. It just sprouts. It just comes naturally. You can't not be. You wake up in the morning and you just start ideas. They just come to you like, there's an abundance of ideas. You say, be creative. It's like, well, is there any other way to be? And unfortunately, yes, there is. And there are all the bureaucrats and but you are so, but now the flip side of creativity, you see, is impulsivity. Because, you don't plan to have your creative ideas, right? You don't say it's 10 o'clock, time for my creative idea, and lay it like an egg. These creative ideas depend upon impulsivity. They depend upon spontaneity. They depend upon disinhibition. Your minds are naturally disinhibited. You don't have, the forces of control, repression that most people have, which is a great blessing when you're coming up with new ideas, but it can be a terrible curse when you're making decisions impulsively and acting impulsively. You all tend to be extremely curious. That's the positive side. Very curious. Well, what's the downside of curious? You're very easily distracted. Something happened. What's that? What did she say? What's that person doing? What's going on? What's that guy doing next to me? What's going up and over there? What's over there? You are forever, Well, meanwhile, you're missing what's going on. You're in a conversation with someone and you're looking at what's going on out the window behind them. That you're curious. You want to know everything that's going on. And you can miss what's happening right in front of you, because the minute, the second, the millisecond it smacks even a tiny little bit of boring, you're out of there. Boring is kryptonite to entrepreneurs. I mean, you don't do boring. The minute you get even a little seismic, boom, you're gone. You're gone. I tell the story on myself when I was finishing my training. I was at a Harvard teaching hospital, and at the end of the year, they had a big dinner at the Harvard Faculty Club, and they brought in a speaker every year. And here I am sitting there in this august, setting, and the speaker that year was one of these academics who, it was just impossible to listen to him. He was so boring. Well, I was sitting next to a window, and it just happened. I jumped out the window. I couldn't even stand to get up and walk to the door. I just exited through the window. Fortunately, the dinner was on the first floor, and fortunately it was sort of a corner, so nobody saw me leave, so I didn't get into trouble. But I didn't plan to exit that way. I couldn't stand the boredom, hugely energetic. Entrepreneurs have a ton of energy. That's the upside. The downside is it's hard to get them to stay put. It's hard to get them to it's amazing that you guys have sat in this room, by the way. It's really a testament to your sitting muscles. You have a mind like a steel trap. You guys remember stuff that most people can't remember. On the other hand, you're notoriously forgetful. It's hard to, what are you going to remember? You'll forget, leave this there, leave that there, leave things on airplanes, leave things in the car. I got to remember, you have to leave the house 3 times because you've, forgotten your glasses, your wallet, your pen. You go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So on the one hand, you're keeping track of everything in your mind like a steel trap. On the other hand, you got a mind like Swiss cheese. You got all these paradoxes. You're extremely understanding. You can be unbelievably empathic. You can understand the strangest people on the one hand. And on the other hand, you can be unbelievably tyrannical. As a boss, you can be unbelievably tyrannical. My way, and just, and get into trouble. You have many ideas. As I said, you're so creative, but the downside of that is you can have so many ideas, they choke out the growth of one another. It's like an overplanted garden. It may be all roses and beautiful flowers, but you have too many, none of them grow. And they all wither. Decisive. You're very notoriously decisive. Well, the downside of that is you're impatient. You shoot from the hip. Make a decision. You want to get on to the next stimulation. A romantic conversation with an entrepreneur. Okay, so you love me. What's your next point? You want to get on to the next thing. Okay, we got that one. What's the next bit of stim? Don't bore me. You want to keep it moving. Hurry it up. Move it along. You are unbelievable enthusiasts. You get a big surge of excitement. The beginning of the project, you are just over the moon with excitement. Problem is, you don't sustain it. Your enthusiasm can peter out, and so you have all these sort of beginnings, but not enough completions. You actually, when you get to the completion phase, you like that too. What you tend not to like is the middle phase. That's where you need to bring in the attention surplus people. You see, the trick is to make sure you have somebody else who can put up with that middle phase. Independent, I've mentioned already, and of course the flip side of that is you have trouble delegating. You have trouble trusting other people, taking advice. Tenacious, never give up. People with people who with this trait, this entrepreneurial trait, since they are pretty much the same, you never give up. As I said, you keep coming back for more. Well, the flip side of that is you're unbelievably stubborn. It's very hard to tell you, once you've made up your mind, it's very hard to get you off a certain position. And that can cause problems. On the one hand, you'll take action immediately. You'll see an idea, yeah, I want that. Let's buy that. Let's go for that. Let's sign up for that. But the flip side of that is you're unbelievable procrastinators. You'll put some stuff off until the very last minute when there's a crisis. Okay, finally I'll do it. How do you reconcile those two, You tend to be original as a group of people. You tend to be highly original. You tend to truly break the mold. Well, the flip side of that is you can be really wacky, eccentric, even crazy, and there's not many Joe Normals amongst you, put it like that. Confident. Sean Stevenson was saying, you tend to be confident. Well, guess what? Most entrepreneurs also are notoriously insecure. And a real sense of this was done by smoke and mirrors. One of my friends, David Neilman, who founded JetBlue Airlines, one of the great innovators in the aviation business, he invented the electronic ticket. Great example of the originality. He just saw the idea, and everyone in the business laughed at him, he told me. They said, nobody will go to the airport without a paper ticket. And now we all do. The day JetBlue went public, in a matter of hours, he made hundreds of millions of dollars. And he said to me, driving home that night, was I driving home to celebrate? He said, no, I felt like the same loser who couldn't hack it in high school. That focusing on what you haven't done well, instead of being able to take. Now, if you meet David in the world, you think he's the most confident man you've ever seen. He can walk into a room and just take it over. Right now he's starting a whole new airline in Brazil. The guy is just one smashing success after another. But he also carries with him this tremendous sense of insecurity and inadequacy. Again, two sides in the same person. Extremely hardworking. As a group, you folks you will work 24/7 if you have to get what's done. The downside of that is you can be compulsive. You can be driven. You can neglect family, friends, and your own health in the service of working so hard. Lightning quick mind. Your minds tend to be very, very, very quick. Well, the flip side of that, the price you pay is there's a lot of addictive behavior, compulsive behavior, really sort of looking for some way to quiet your mind down, some way of soothing this roiling, boiling, cauldron that you've got going on inside of you. So when you're on, but then there's a way more addictive, compulsive behaviors amongst entrepreneurs than there is in the general population. Tremendous ability to take risk. You are born risk takers. But then often there's a need to be in danger in order to feel fully alive. Entrepreneurs often, contentment is just too bland. They don't feel alive when in a state of harmony. So they go take a risk, and often they will create danger in order to stimulate, to feel engaged, to feel fully alive. Dreamer, visionary, you are the dreamers, you are the visionaries. Well, of course, the flip side of that is trouble with implementation, trouble with practical, trouble with A, B, C, D, E, F, G, linear thinking. That's like anathema. As I said, you tend to be very giving, very generous. The flip side of that is you often feel deprived. You often feel like, I do all the giving, who's giving to me? Not knowing that you really don't allow people to give to you. You set it up so that you're always the giver. And it's hard for you to be in the position of being the recipient. And so you feel a kind of deprivation. Innovator, tremendous innovators, but can't follow directions, won't follow directions. When all else fails, you might read the directions. You're funny, the life of the party, you connect others, but secretly, you often feel lonely as if nobody really understands you or even knows you. Incredibly passionate, just a passion for life. And the flip side of that is you can be explosive. You can be really explosive and really hurt people, do damage when you explode. Supremely gifted. Most entrepreneurs, most people who have this quality are truly gifted. The challenge is unwrapping the gift. And so there's often a lot of underachievement. You may achieve at a very high level, but you know, if only I could find the key, I could do so much more. So much more. And that sense of underachievement, of fully unwrapping your gift, of developing your talents. And then finally, enthusiastic, which I've mentioned, leading to a tendency to be overcommitted and just more to do than time to do it. Okay, and that's just some of the very complicated, very interesting picture of the C and the F, which is why the life of the entrepreneur is so both blessed and cursed, both magnificent and difficult. You look closely at the lives of entrepreneurs. You are the people who advance the world for sure. You are the people. You are the engine. We need you desperately. The world needs, I wouldn't say you, us desperately. But if you can master some of these conflicts, not only can you be even more successful, but you can be happier in the process. So how do you do it? Well, let me give you some suggestions. Right at the top of the list, number one, really best suggestion anybody could ever give you. Never worry alone. Coming here is a really good thing to do. Putting your heads together, getting advice, whether it's from a consultant or from a colleague or from a book, coming here and worrying together, brainstorming together, this is by far the best way to reduce the damage done by the negative part of yourself and propel the positive side of yourself. Try to work in your sweet spot. Now, what do I mean by your sweet spot? Your sweet spot is where three circles overlap. What you love to do, what you have a tremendous talent at doing, and what someone will pay you to do. As Joe said, if what you love to do generates no income, well, that's your hobby. So where those three overlap, what you love to do, what you have a great talent for doing, what someone will pay you to do, where those three overlap, I call that your sweet spot. You want to spend most of your time there. And CDE the rest. CDE stands for curtail, delegate, eliminate. As best you possibly can, CDE the rest. Spend most of your time in your sweet spot. It's so easy not to, because like I said, you have a trouble delegating, you have trouble trusting, but you will get so much more mileage working in your sweet spot. Strive to stay in the C state, the C part of the paired paradoxes. Try as best you can to stay in that C spot. And watch out for danger. Now, danger is an acronym. And let me explain to you what each letter stands for. It's a cycle, that sequence that a lot of entrepreneurs are very vulnerable to, very susceptible to. D stands for disappointment, some kind of disappointment, some sort of defeat. You don't close the deal, someone lets you down, you don't get what you were hoping for, you feel this disappointment. That leads to anger and blame. You're angry at yourself, you're angry at the people who let you down, you're blaming yourself, you're blaming others. That leads to a general state of negativity and of loss of hope. You're in a negative place. And then G stands for globalizing it. You globalize it. It suddenly colors your whole world. Your whole world is colored by this negative state. That leads to E, which is you try to escape. You find some escape, whether it's into drugs or reckless activity or just retreat, shutting down, hibernation. You try to escape somehow or other, which leads you to an isolated place where you reject help, you reject yourself, you reject life, you reject your business, you're in a bad place. That sequence, DANGER, common among entrepreneurs, and really important that you have in your mind's Rolodex a way of identifying it and dealing with it. And by the way, the best way to deal with it is go back to number one, never worry alone. Another good way to deal with it is to have in your mind what I call your no matter what, I've got my blank list. No matter what, I've got my fill in the blank. Some people say their bank account. Well, it's not a great answer, but some people, that's why they want a lot of money. So they'll have, no matter what, I've got my money. Better is probably no matter what, I've got my loved ones. No matter what, I've got my health. Well, nobody can really say that. No matter what, I've got the people I trust. No matter what, I've got my belief in God. No matter what, I've got my dog. You fill in the blank. You fill in the blank, but it's good to have that ready at hand. Your no matter what, I've got my blank list. Because believe me, life happens. And you're going to need that list. Number 6, keep your goals clear. And as others have said today, work on as few projects as possible at a time. I've given up saying one at a time. I can't do it. I don't know any entrepreneur who can do it. But as few projects as possible at a time. Because when they become too many, believe me, none will get the attention they deserve. It's like multitasking. It's a myth. Multitasking is a myth. It is impossible to pay simultaneous attention to two cognitively demanding tasks. It can't be done. What people really mean by multitasking is switching your attention from one task to another in rapid succession. Going from this to that, to this to that, to this to that, back and forth. That's what multitasking is. It is a colossal danger if the tasks are at all cognitively demanding. If it's talking to a boring person and unloading the dishwasher, yes, you can do it. But if it's talking to somebody who's giving you specific instructions on a business deal, you had better not be doing anything else. My wife tells a wonderful story. She's a therapist, and she has a client who's a patient who's a very high-powered attorney in Boston. And he said, I was at a meeting with other attorneys, and I negotiated an incredible deal for my client, very lopsided. And he said, later I got together with one of the attorneys, and he said, how in the world did you put this over on us? And he said, it was easy. I was the only one in the meeting who wasn't on his BlackBerry. So it's a big act of self-deception, this notion that you can multitask. And corollary is the idea that you can ride herd on infinite number of projects. You simply can't. It's fine to have several going, but beware. There is a critical number above which the quality of each begins to deteriorate. Number 7, the 3 B's. 3 B's for modern life. Brakes, boundaries, and bests. Brakes, you need to put on the brakes. I often say entrepreneurs have Ferrari engines for brains with bicycle brakes. So you need to be able to put on brakes. Modern life goes so fast. It's not only your mind is going fast, life is going fast. Well, guess what? As someone else said today, if you're going really, really fast, what can you not do? Go deep. You simply can't be going fast and go deep at the same time. It's like a law of physics. You can't do it. And so what you see is the superficialization of life. Life has become, for many people, unbelievably superficial. Sound bites, just no depth, no follow through, and that's you're not gonna grow anything big in that way. Brakes, boundaries. The great thing about the electronic age is we've broken down all the boundaries, but that's also the curse. You need to reconstruct boundaries according to your own desires. Ask someone, where do you do your best work? Rarely. Ask, where do you do your best thinking? Rarely do they say at work. Most common answer, in the shower. The shower. Because that's the last place left, and I'm sure this Christmas we'll have waterproof iPhones. I mean, you know, it's the last place left where you can't be interrupted, and it's a great place. I think Joe Polish has a wax pencil in his shower so he can write down ideas when they come to him, like for underwater scuba divers use. You know, it's a great idea. You know, so because ideas could come all the time.
That is true, by the way.
You do. You have a wax pen, scuba in the shower. That's fantastic. So when he has a great idea, because he knows he's likely to forget it, write it down in the shower. And the shower is a great place for coming up with new ideas. And then bests, I mean by that, give your best to your best, which means prioritize. Prioritize. Save your best for your best client, your best project, your best friend, your best whatever. Don't dispense your best willy-nilly, because it's not infinite. You need to prioritize now more than ever, because modern life conspires to steal your time, to steal your energy. It is so seductive. We live, someone called it an embarrassment of niches. You know, we have so many potential prospects, so potential projects. You've got to decide, what is your best project, your best prospect, your best place that you want to give your best to. So save your best for your best. Those 3 B's: breaks, boundaries, and bests. The next one I've alluded to several times already, but I want to underline it in big red lines. Connect. What I call the other vitamin C. Vitamin connect. The paradox of modern life is we're super connected electronically, but we've been disconnecting interpersonally. People feel more lonely than is good for them. People don't have that sense of engagement, of community, of camaraderie that is really fundamental for pretty much everything good in life. If you want to know if there is one secret to a great life, success, health, longevity, it's connection. Joe is one of the greatest connectors I've ever met. He does a huge service. Connection to people, to projects, to places, to ideas. The more points of positive connection you can possibly develop, the more, not only the more successful you'll be, but the happier you'll be, the healthier you'll be, the more fulfilled you'll be. Get regular daily doses of Vitamin Connect. And by that, I don't mean access to the internet. I mean a connection of a powerful, vibrant, visceral, I'm looking forward to seeing that person. Not just, oh, great to see you. No, I'm looking forward to seeing that person. I'm looking forward to the dog jumping up when I get home. I'm looking forward to getting to that project. I'm looking forward to that meeting where these interesting ideas will bubble up. I'm looking forward to this conference. That is vitamin C. That is, and we desperately need it. If we don't get it, we wither. And that's why you see so many people out there going through the motions, not feeling the kind of joy they ought to feel while they're alive. You know, you ought to feel that while you're alive. And the key to feeling that is cultivating positive connection of all sorts. Vitamin C. Then finally, consider getting yourself diagnosed. And this is something that you may at first think sounds strange, but attention deficit disorder in adults is vastly underdiagnosed. 85% of adults who have it don't know they have it. Combine that with the fact that my estimation is 85% of entrepreneurs have it. There's a lot of it in this room. And the fact that you're succeeding, not failing, does not mean you shouldn't check it out. I have a patient in New York who's a self-made billionaire, And he said the diagnosis of ADD changed his life dramatically for the better. So it doesn't mean you have to be failing. It means simply that you could be doing much better, and you know that you could be if only you could find the key. This might be the key. And I'm telling you that, and you can take it to the bank, because I don't know much about a lot of things, but I know more about this than anyone in the world. And the advantage of having me here is to have me tell you that. What you do with it is up to you, but I can promise you, there's a lot of you in this room right now whose not only your business could take a quantum leap ahead, but your personal life as well. The diagnosis of this condition is powerfully transformative. There's no condition in all of medicine that can change a person's life more dramatically for the better than the diagnosis of ADD in an adult. So consider checking it out. And then finally, Joe, I don't sell. I'm a really bad marketer. But Joe really insisted that we put together a package for you all, which I'm very happy to do. But I said, okay, as long as you'll tell them about it, because I don't know how to do this. It's not what I do. It's not in my skill set. Then I'll just mumble and jumble. And so we have put together an offer for you that I can tell you is a tremendous deal. But let me Joe come up and explain it to you.
Are we on?
Okay. I want to say something, because we were having lunch. This is something that happened today. We were having lunch with Ned. And
Lou Ferrigno.
And Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah.
But I was sharing with Ned that we've had conversations. We've had some conversations earlier in the year, and for all of my life, I have always associated ADD with this guy, with what he has, with the hyper element of ADHD. And I never in my life thought that I had ADD. I knew that I was not able to focus on things, that I was a chronic procrastinator, that all my life, I was sharing with Ned, read my mom, I found all these report cards at my mom's house. And you know how they used to, in elementary school, they'd handwrite the comments on the thing? So I was looking at it, and the comment that really stuck out to me was that, and it's a summary, it's really like the story of my life. It's Dean is able to achieve excellent results with what seems like little effort. Imagine if he applied himself. Now, that was third grade. That's been the entire story of my life. Now, I'm smart, and I've been able to figure out ways to be successful without having to focus. I found my sweet spot. I've been able to surround myself with people who can focus. And I can't explain to you, but a lot of you probably have this same thing, that I know what needs to be done. For all of my life, and I'm going to talk about it up to 100 days ago, and I'm going to describe it to you from the last 100 days, that up until 100 days ago, I would look at things that I know needed to be done. I like writing courses, or how many of you going through the Breakthrough Blueprint program? That idea, that takes a lot of work to put that stuff together. That takes a lot of focused attention and time and thinking and writing to do all of that. Now, I've got an infinite supply of those kinds of ideas, and I have had my entire life, but I haven't been able to really get myself to focus long enough to put them together. Now, fortunately, there are probably, if I can probably count them on one hand, if I say stopyourdivorce.com, I say writing the money-making website that we did, our Getting Listings program, my Finding Buyers program, and the World's Most Interesting Postcard, 5 things in 20 years that I've been able to put myself together have created every dollar of wealth that I've created in my life. But I've been able to focus just for a short period of time on those things. Now, in the last 100 days, I was talking with Ned. He said, "Oh, of course you have ADD," and they're describing the difference to me about what it is. And it was like this light came on for me. So I spoke to my doctor. I got some medication for it. I've been taking Adderall since 100 days ago. And in that last 100 days, I have been more productive in the last 3 months than I've been in the last 30 months on that. Just one little thing. I can't even describe to you the difference. It's not something that I take that gets me hyper or gets me amped or anything like that. I'm just able to calmly focus on things. I'm able to sit down and do all of the things that I need to do. Now, I've already sort of ritualized the ability to get things done. When you look at that 50-minute Focus Finder video, those things are out of my struggle to be able to get myself to do things. That's been the only way that I've been able to do things. So when I do this now, it just skyrockets my productivity using those same rituals that I've created to make myself productive as a workaround to not knowing that I had ADD. I just thought I was a lazy, shiftless entrepreneur who just procrastinated. And I've lived with that my whole life. Imagine if he applied himself like it's something that I'm doing wrong. Yeah. And now I'm able to apply myself. So we were talking about this at lunch and saying that here's the guy, like he just said it himself, but this guy knows more about this than anybody in the world. And we've got access to him. And Joe and Ned did a whole program.
Yeah, a few years ago, we did a program called Success with Sanity, and Marie Folio spoke at it, and you're going to hear from Marie later. Nathaniel Brandon, the father of self-esteem. A brilliant guy. Probably the last presentation where he would ever be able to articulate what he knows, because he's literally, unfortunately, he's not in a good place right now. He's in his 80s, and he'll never do a presentation like that ever again. But it was mostly Ned. And Ken Glickman came up with the term Success with Sanity. Ken's just an amazing guy. And it was just a great event. It was a 2-day event that we had done. We priced it at $1,997. And then there we actually did a 1-year, $297 a month program, like a coaching program for people on how to be successful without with sanity, without the craziness. And it was really right after his book, Crazy Busy, had been written. And it was awesome. And there might have been some people that were at that event that are here. Was anyone at that event? What'd you guys think? It was awesome. Yeah, just incredible. But we've never really heavily promoted or packaged that. And during lunch today, I was like, we have it. It's online. We've got all of the recordings of the $297 a month cut, which is like people invested $3,600 for that. We never sold it. We literally just did it. And it was awesome. And Ned's got all these incredible books, and people can go and see him. He has lots of doctors. He can refer people. When he's not in your hometown, but people can go see Ned personally for $750 an hour is his therapy rates. Which is he's high end, of course, because he's the top in the world in this. But it's like, how valuable would it be to spend 3 hours with Ned? And so I said, let's put together a package. And so I had my team put together a thing. We have no forms that we can pass out, but we have blank forms in the back if you want this. And so here's everything that we've decided to put together for you. And you get it for a whopping $497. It's an online membership, including you get the entire videos of Success with Sanity. It includes 7 teleclinics, 7 mini video training sessions, and the full recordings of 2 days of training from Ned and Nathaniel Brandon and Marie Folio and Ken Glickman. And then you get the Organize, Prioritize, and Capitalize 12 modules that we did. They're about an hour long each, maybe a little longer, it might be up to 90 minutes, and that's $3,495 value. And earn more cash and freedom with less stress. And then we decided between now and the end of 2012, we'll do 3 conference calls. And we'll announce the dates because we have to order. We literally just came up with this today. So, his rates are $750 an hour. This is easily a $497 value is what I estimated. But, honestly, it's really just a marketing trick just to instill that alone's worth the $497. But seriously, what's that worth? There's there's a guy here that I won't identify him because I don't know if he'll want to be identified, but he's a very successful dude. And while you were speaking, I'm sitting over there. This comes across on my iPhone. This guy is mind-blowing. I feel like everything he says applies to me. Don't scratch my car. Okay? And I wrote, yes, he's brilliant. Most fascinating person I've ever heard. And I wrote, cool. I'm so grateful. I have an idea and strategy that will, transform your life, self-image, and business. And, the thing is, he's brilliant.
Yes.
I mean, how many of you totally felt like he gets you? Okay? So the thing is, being on 3 conference calls with Ned, going through Success with Sanity, that will not be something that sucks for you. This will be very useful. This will be very valuable. And he has some great books. He's written 18 books, and the very best ones that I think would be most applicable to this crowd, and when I say I think, I asked Ned, is Delivered from Distraction. Many of you have probably heard of that book if you've not read it. Crazy Busy, Overstretched, Overbooked, and About to Snap, Strategies for Coping in a World Gone Ad as an ADD. And Shine, Using Brain Science to Bring Out Your Best from Your People. And that will be $497. And if you do not love it, if that doesn't change your life, if you listen to all conference calls, tell us after the 3 of them if you don't think it was worth 20 times the investment. We'll give you a full refund. Okay, we're not just trying to pitch someone here. This, I think, would be just instrumental in getting you on a different course. Kind of like what you just said.
Well, I just said, how many of you think your life could change if you could harness all these ideas, harness yourself? I'm sharing with you that it really does change. It really makes an incredible difference. So.
Yeah, and so what we'll do is we'll offer that for $497. Just fill out a form in the back, and if you want to pay in 3 installments, we'll probably do 3 installments if you need to do that. And boy, that's the offer there. So what do you guys think? Is that a good offer? I thought that.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yes, and let's see what else. Ned, for the book, The Entrepreneur, I also want to take this audience and this group, since many of you have filled out the survey, and those of you that have not, will still give you another opportunity to do this. Part of it is participating in this, because I actually think we can create a community of entrepreneurs that are getting better as a result of this. I love his work. What he's doing. It's funny because in a lot of ways you're self-deprecating, sort of like I am. He's doing
Sort of
important,
like I am.
but in a different way, because he's like, it's not that important. This is really important work he's doing. I mean, really important. I come across people all the time that have children that like, this guy saved my life. My kids we didn't know what to do. Everything from my kids were on drugs to getting in trouble in school. I've heard, of course, the same thing from adults, but his work with children is dramatic, and he's made such a big difference. And this guy's truly influenced the lives of millions of people, and you would never know it because hundreds of doctors all over the world use his methodologies that he created. So I think he does incredible work, and he's an industry transformer. He's transformed an entire field, and I like associating with those sorts of people because those are the best people in the world for me, and those are the people that are my heroes, and I'm very happy we're able to bring him to I Love Marketing and share his knowledge with you, and I hope you all participate. So thank you, Ned.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So that's it.